Unity, oneness of minds, feelings as among a number of persons, harmony, concord, and agreements. Hello, I'm Ernest Lowery. Welcome to the podcast Unity, a place where you can come together and understand what's happening in your community. What does the community want? It wants great schools, it wants to be self-sustaining, and it wants to take crime out the neighborhoods. Come join us at Podcast Unity. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ernest Lowery, and welcome to Podcast Unity. I'm so glad you guys had the opportunity to come visit us today. We really appreciate it. Today, we're going to start out our session with my good friend from Ghana. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. It's nice being on your podcast, Mr. Ernest. My name is Lord Marcus, and I'm originally from Cape Coast, Ghana, West Africa.
Right. Okay, so one of the things this program is basically talking about, we're talking about kids and youth and what we can do with them and how we can help them uplift themselves and be part of a community. So tell me about some of the things that you've done in Africa, in Ghana in particular.
I actually came over here initially on a visit, ended up getting a scholarship to one of the universities. Mm-hmm. And once I graduated, I started working in the school system. I've been working with the youth for a while, and back home, I had an organization called Nana for Ghana, and we had been receiving books and laptops and other electronics to help integrate our brethren back home and those here so they could be in a link-up.
Right. So I understand that on your way to and from Africa that you have a trailer, right? And in your trailer you have computers, bikes, things of that nature. Tell me what happened and how you distribute those things.
Yeah. Initially, it started just like a little joke, an inside joke. And I said, I'm looking for 16 bicycles to send to Africa. I ended up getting about 64 bikes in the same day that I tried to look for it. Mm-hmm. And then I started gathering books and sneakers and stuff. When it became more than a usual load that could be freighted, I decided to ship it in a container instead. Mm-hmm. You yourself know you've been helping me in the backgrounds, and with some other team members, we've been able to personally ship like container loads to Ghana. It's been going at least 1 or 2 containers in a year. And when these get in there, I lays up with certain schools and certain individuals that I know are running charities and foundations. Mm-hmm. Some books have actually gone to the Cape Coast Library under the giftship of a Mofra Fadrian Foundation.
Right. Okay, so you came here from Ghana on a visa. What are some of the things that you're doing here in the United States? And we'll talk about that first, then we'll go to some other things.
Yes, sir. Currently in the United States, I'm doing teaching with the Virginia Beach City School System, and I also do technology support. Mm-hmm. Just recently getting to November of last year, I started doing mental counseling and help in relation to youth too.
Right.
So we are trying our best to work with the community and to better ourselves while we look ahead for our youth.
Okay, so when you say that, are there any particular obstacles that prevent you from furthering yourself for what you want to do?
Currently, I think our only obstacles are our own imaginations. We have no obstacles. Sometimes we may face financial issues here and there, but there's always been solutions to figure things out.
Right. So the student, what is your age group of the student that you teach, and what are some of the common questions that they may ask you, because you know about your accent, right?
And that is correct.
The way you look, right? So what happened with that?
I've been working with the youth from probably like 14 all the way to adulthood with people who are probably between 50 and even 60. But in relation to the youth, their curiosity mostly is that, how did you get here? How come you didn't stay in Africa and you came over here? And then I made them aware that I came here on a scholarship. I came initially on a holiday, got a scholarship, and then ended up schooling. Mm-hmm. And then I made them aware that there are many opportunities here people back home are not having. Mm-hmm. And so they should try to capitalize on the opportunities here and the windows that are open so they could reach out to higher goals.
Mm-hmm.
that has been it.
So when you reach out to your students, are you doing anything to gather them together, rope them together to come to a common ground thing that you can initiate in regards to what you know, what your passion is, or the experiences that move over to Africa?
Initially, as you yourself know, and we've been speaking about before this podcast, the idea is to try to get as many of our African American youth here in America back home as possible. And when I say so, the idea is that during certain vacations, if parents and family and relatives could sponsor a few of their own offspring to let them take a first-hand visit to Africa, it will be very beneficial for their upkeep and for their general well-being. Because most of that which they see is just coming from some limited spectrums. But being there firsthand really changes the perspective,
Right.
and gives somebody a higher motivation.
Right. Okay. So when you go home, you just came back from Africa.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, how long did you stay, and what are the things that you most focused on when you're in your homeland?
Yes, sir. When I went home, I just went home last year. It was from March 22nd, 2021, and I stayed through till July 2022. So I
Right.
was there probably like 3 months. The idea was that to make sure some lands we had worked on is secured and registered. And the idea is to create an innovative center whereby when our brethren and sisters come from America, they will have a place to interact with the youth. Because I believe that it will be better to let them integrate with families rather than them staying at hotels and places that they do not know. So the idea is that when we get people back here who are coming to the motherland from the Americas, they will have a commune or a small community village where they have as their main station.
Right. Now, this property that you have,
Yes,
and what part of Ghana is this in, where they have the lake on one side and maybe a couple hundred yards, there's the ocean. So how does that basically come about?
Yes, sir.
And how do you get the opportunity to choose that kind of land? Is it something that that was handed down through the family, or?
This one was a real gift and a blessing from the Most High himself. There was a family land that was 7 acres that has some palm plantation on it. That one was supposed to have been developed, but that was not near the sea. But the new one that we acquired, that we saw the video of, that has the lake on one side and the sea on the other, is located in the central region of Ghana. The place is called Abuano. Abuano is also a historical town which is not far from Cape Coast, where the door of return is.
Right.
So the idea is that instead of people just coming in straight from Accra to Cape Coast, it will rather be good for them to go through the tourism corridor where
Right.
our ancestors and people of old used to trade. So that is how it came about. And this land is probably about 9.5 acres. The sea is just like some few meters ahead, and
Right.
the lake is right behind you. So the idea is to try to develop it and have some kind of holistic environment where people can easily bridge with our people back home, because it's long overdue.
Okay, great. So if I hear you correctly, are you talking about students or adults or groups coming from the United States coming to Africa that they would maybe go on the what's called the unbeaten path if they were associated with what you guys are doing, or do they do the normal tourism route?
I believe this one is more in relation to trying to link up with the youth. I prefer the youth because they are our next future. For the adults, it's good, they are welcome to come visit on tourisms and to check on other things they can do. But for the youth, the main idea is like an exchange program where if we can get maybe 10, 15 youth from here to come stay for like a month or two, we integrate them in the community and with the other youth to let them share ideas and share experiences.
Okay, so do you teach the students what they may need as far as visas are concerned? How do you prepare them to be able to come to Africa? And so what is it that they need to do to be able to transition from the United States to Africa? And what time period is the best time to come? Because Africa, they have monsoons,
That is
right?
correct.
So when would you be looking to have those students or adults come over?
The idea to let them come over is that they first have to make a choice and have the desire to be back home.
Right.
Once that is established, we make sure they have passports, and then we make sure we apply for the visas too for them. The main thing they will have to cater for is certain fees, as in buying their own tickets, and then us getting some little resource to host them while they are there. And I also advise them to have some small personal pocket money to be able to buy things and souvenirs that they can market when they come here.
Right.
Because there is a lot of opportunities for them to get things that they can also
Right.
build on.
Okay. So in Africa, when people consider visiting, in particular Ghana, one of the first things we hear about is the door of no return. Can you explain to us just a little bit what that's about? And from what you hear in the United States and what you know in your own country, is there any kind of controversy between what's being disseminated from Ghana and what we say here?
There is some disparities. That one is to be said. There is some big disparity. I was fortunate to have grown in Cape Coast. And to make a disclaimer, my great-grandfather is Dr. Kwejire Eman-Agri of Africa. Dr. Kwejire Eman-Agri was an educationist that was very strong in Africa and ended up being here and being part of the Livingston College formation.
Right.
And the idea is that once we are able to let people come in, they can see for themselves firsthand what is going on. The narrative is very wide and different. When we talk about the door of no return, the door of no return was like the last point where our ancestors who were stolen, I would say stolen, because most of the time people describe that, oh, Africans contributed in the selling of their own brethren and so forth. And I keep coming back telling them that, hey, if it is really true that we sold our people,
Right.
please come with the records so that we can testify ourselves, make apologies, and make headway.
Right.
In as much as certain elements were in team with people who were taking people away, it hasn't been told as it was.
Right.
So it is good for people to come back through the door of no return. The door of no return was like a point when one reaches and crosses over the Atlantic to the west.
Right.
There was no vision or no hope of ever coming back.
Right.
But we have been fortunate that people like you and others that have come along previously have found their way back home. So we find it a great pleasure to see people who have lived outside the African continent
Right.
being able to come back home. Because you've survived, you've prevailed, and it shows the strength of us and those that were parted over to this place.
Right. And I definitely appreciate what you're saying. And I think, I've been in your country, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And even though we never had the opportunity to be there at the same time, sometime in the near future, we've been planning the trip so that we can do those things. So I'll say to you, what does Africa have to offer somebody from America?
Africa is like the root of it all. It's been the root, it's been the tree, it's been the branches, and it's been the fruit.
What you say that again?
Africa has been the root of it all. It's been the root, the tree, the branches, and the fruit too. Why do I say so? Because if we are to go back in history and to trace even that which has been recorded by the West, Africa is the place to be. Apart from our natural resources and the many varied environment and landscapes, the people themselves is a treasure that has to be beholden.
Right.
And I always advise my brethren in the West and in the diaspora to come back home because apart from many businesses opportunities, it is even a breath of fresh air to be in your own commune. In Africa, you are not a minority. Everybody sees you and they say, oh, you look like somebody. You look like a cousin or something of mine. Apart from the business opportunities that exist, I think we should be bridging up our interrelationship. Because why is it that other people from other nations can come in there, establish, and be making off lots and carrying it away, while our African American brothers and sisters are not partaking in that? It is hard time they started visiting, started testing the waters, and started setting up there. I will even be happy to see some of our African American brethren coming back home and playing an active participatory role in the running of the affairs of Africa.
Okay, very interesting. Now, I've heard here in the United States that, particularly the Caucasian race, and they have told me, well, you know, I can look at a guy, I can look at an African, and I can almost tell you what tribe they're from, and they're from their facial features. I said, man, get out of here. I don't believe that. So what I hear them saying is that they have an authority on how we look, and they can describe or dictate that who we are, who we belong to. You ever hear anything like that?
I have heard. In fact, I remember when I used to be in Tennessee, one of my landlords really traveled with me to Africa. He's a white man. And when we were going to Africa, I remember at Belgium at the airport, I would see somebody and I would say, oh, this guy is from Kenya. This man is from Nigeria. This man is from that. It is true. If you are an African or have been in our midst for a while, you can sometimes easily decipher where people are from, or even from their accents.
Right.
However, I don't know how they can distinguish between us
Yes.
and them, but we can easily tell.
Right, right. Okay, if you had to talk to your students and the kids and youth here in the United States, what are some of the important things about Ghana?
I always used to tell them a story about adonkerism. I say there is something called adonkerism. Like, I don't care. This is not my problem. This is not my
I
issue.
don't careism.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm saying the things that we say I don't care about sometimes go and bite us. So we need to all be focused about things that is happening in Africa, because we assume, oh, we are all that far away off and we seem to be detached. But I am trying to let them understand that we are one and the same.
Right.
In the sense that if they are also putting in some effort to reach back home, they will see the benefit of being home and being here, because it will be very important if we can keep letting them come in periodically. You had mentioned as to what time it will be convenient for them to come. I am thinking about between May and September. These are very convenient times, in the sense that there are a lot of traditional festivals and occasions where people can integrate themselves in it. I also believe there are so many untold stories from Africa that you and others that may be coming in and out can pick up these stories and disseminate it to the rest of the world.
Right. Well, you know, Lord Marcus, I do look forward to working with you on this journey in regards to helping students come to Africa and shipping things over there. Because when I was in Africa, I believe in 2007, and I stayed there about 16 days, and we brought over some syringes, scales, and a stethoscope for the doctors, because they built a new hospital, and I brought those things over, and it was a joy to do that, to see the people in the community appreciate what they get. You know, and I brought those things, and not because the country is poor, it's because it's like a gift. And what we should be doing is go places, you exchange things, right? I mean, that's how we do, right?
That is right.
So again, I'm looking forward to working with you to getting these things done. Is there anything in particular you want to say about Africa or people who listen to the podcast about what they can do and how they can get it with you? I know your website is at Lord Marcus.
Yeah, I have a few of them
No.
out there.
Well, let's tell them one. Okay.
I'm currently working on one that I really want to be on the forefront. It's called AfricanStoriesRetold.com. African Stories Retold.
Okay, and finally, I guess I'll ask your personal things. I understand too. You know, you're pretty good at DJing and promoting things like that. Give us a little insight about some of the things that you do.
Yeah, I used to do some poetry and music in relation to try to bring people back home. I have a poetry I wrote for our brethren called Akwaba. We are waiting. We are waiting. The food is long burned in the cauldron. How long shall we keep on holding on with our Akwaba while you are out there? We think about you. We are waiting. We are waiting. From the north, from the south, east, and west, there is no meaning to this unless you are here. We are waiting. We are waiting. We are waiting. And
That's
it
beautiful.
was like to implore our brethren and sisters that we are waiting with open arms at home. Please come and let's reason.
Okay.
Or without you, we can't eat the dinner.
Yeah, and I think probably one of the other things people might want to know about, just relating it to Africa for the most part, if they're to come, what kind of food would they expect?
Oh, wow.
There.
Africa has a rainbow of foods. And these are foods that are called, the West call health foods. We have it bountifully. If you need anything, it is like on the fresh.
Right.
Avocados, you wake up in the morning and avocados are falling in your front yard.
Yes.
Mangoes here, apples there, pineapples everywhere.
Right.
Please come home and enjoy the environment.
Okay.
We
Well,
are
look,
waiting.
Lord Marcus, I want to thank you so very much for coming and helping us with the podcast today. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you. And again, like I said before, looking forward to working with you on some of the projects that you have. And with that, we can get other people to do the same thing. So thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you, big
Come
brother.
back and see us, right?
Thank you, big brother,
All right.
for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank
we'll
you.
be talking some more.
So you've been listening to Ernest Lowery podcast Unity. We want to thank you so very much for tuning in with us. It's been a real joy. And talk to my friend Lord Marcus through his website. Did you give it the website number yet?
African Stories Retold.
There you go. You heard it first. So again, thank you so very much. This is Ernest Lowery, Podcast Unity.
Welcome to Comedic Services, LLC. We provide supportive in-home and residential group home services in the Hampton Roads area, including Williamsburg, Franklin, Zuni, Joanno, and Southampton County. Our offices are located at 2428 Almeida Avenue, Suite 170 in Norfolk, Virginia, and at 601 North Mechanic Street in Franklin, Virginia. Comedic Services, LLC is a commission on accreditation of rehabilitation facilities, CARF, accredited service. Our motto is fostering a culture of service and advocacy for humanity.
Two words, journal and guide.
Hello, this is Ernest Lowery with Podcast Unity. I have the pleasure today to be with Dr. George Reed, the Secretary of New Chesapeake Man for Progress here in Chesapeake. And we're going to be talking about a variety of things today that we can do to help our youth. So today, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. George Reed. How are you?
I'm doing fine this evening, Ernest, and thank you so much for inviting me here to talk about something that I love to talk about. That is the New Chesapeake Men for Progress Education Foundation. I'm always excited to talk about it because of the great things that I think we're doing for the youth in our city. As you know, annually, we provide 24 scholarships
Right.
to our youth. We also support several mentoring programs, such as the juvenile education system in Chesapeake for those kids that are in detention. We also support the Chesapeake School for Success on Indian River Road, those kids. We also support Ground Zero Development, who provide mentoring for kids. And we also support the Chesapeake unit of the Boys and Girls Club. I feel very excited about those initiatives because we're working with children from all groups, but our main focus, as you know, is on African American males. I'd like to talk a little bit about the scholarships because that is the main thrust of this foundation. We provide 21 scholarships to African American males coming out of Chesapeake 7 high schools. Now, in 2018 and 2019, we added additional scholarships.
Right.
One in particular is the Dr. William E. Ward Family Scholarship, which we award to a student who's going to a historically black college or university. We also instituted the Vocational Trade and Technology Scholarships that we award to a youth that is going into a trade school or community college to study in those fields. And we also established a fine arts scholarship
Right.
for those students who will either select music as an educational pursuit, either as a teacher or performer. And each year we do that. And I'm very happy about that. You know, we were affected by the pandemic
Right,
in
absolutely.
20 and 21. However, we awarded all of our scholarships to the students virtually,
Right.
using Zoom. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about what we're getting ready to do in 2022. We are starting out with an in-person program. If it comes to where we cannot do that, we will do a live streaming of that program virtually.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that is scheduled for April 30th, 2022, and it will be at the Chesapeake Conference Center. I'm also very excited because my committee has selected Carlos M. Brown, who is Vice President and General Counsel for Dominion Energy.
Absolutely.
They
yes.
have been a perennial supporter of our programs. So I'm excited about that because he's a native Chesapeakean, graduated from Great Bridge High School, went to University of Virginia where he got his bachelor's and law degree. He is excited about coming home to speak
Yes.
to the youth in Chesapeake. And I'm just sending out to everyone in the Chesapeake community and in Hampton Road, you need to be there, and I certainly hope you will support it by either purchasing an ad or sponsorship or buying a ticket or simply making a donation.
Right.
We will appreciate that because, as you know, 94% of every dollar that we collect goes to a student in Chesapeake. So we can go on and on to talk about that. We have some, you might know that some of our graduates who have received our scholarships, they come back and tell us the success they've had.
Right.
And we're continuing that.
You mentioned schools because we talked about the 7 high schools in Chesapeake. The top 3 students, each one of those schools, the top students which the school, the counselors choose, right? And they get a $1,000 scholarship. The other 2 students, second and third, get a $500 stipend, right?
Well, we're calling that a scholarship.
A scholarship,
And
okay.
I'm planning, if things continue as they're going, as you know, we've been doing well financially. We're hoping that maybe in the near future that we can increase all our scholarships to $1,000.
Right. Now, you also, when you mention schools, you talk about other schools. So tell us a little bit about the Title I schools that you guys help implement things and buy school supplies.
Yes, since 2010, when we were established, we began supporting 3 Title I schools. As you know, G.W. Carver, Truett Intermediate, and Thurgood Marsh Elementary School. And we increased that allowance last year.
Right.
And we plan to do that, and we look and we let them know we have a grant program. If a school needs more money, they can fill out the form. It's on our website for additional funds. So we're very excited, and we always visit these schools every year and let them know that we're there, and if anything we can do, we are available.
Right. So that website would be www.newchesapeake-man-for-progress-education-foundation.org.
That's correct.
Right.
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right.
And please visit it. We will be posting the information for the upcoming breakfast next week on the website, and you will be able to see everything and download whatever forms you need to do a sponsorship or purchase an ad or just buy tickets.
Right.
We're excited about that.
Right. Now,
So,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so please, next week, right now, visit our website. You can see our website is completely up to date. You can see what we have done since 2010.
Right.
All of our annual reports are on the website. There's no question about what we've done. It's all documented there for you.
Right. Now, Al Alexander, who is the current president of New Chesapeake Man for Progress Education Foundation, couldn't be here today because of other obligations. So we have Dr. Reed here, who's, as you can tell, is well astute on the issues that we have at hand. So tell me about some of the other people who have been your speakers for this process. And you also, I understand, well, I know that you have another arm, a political arm of the New Chesapeake Man for Progress, which is the parent company.
Yes. Yes, we do, and I'd like to talk about that. But before I do that, Ernest, I've spoken about one program that we do.
Right.
We have 2 annual signature programs. And the second one is the annual Black Tie Scholarship Gala that we have at the Delta Marriott in Chesapeake in November. And certainly extend an invitation to everyone to come to that. And at that event, which is one of our major fundraisers, we award 1 Lifetime Achievement Award and 2 Community Service Award that is named in honor of the late Dr. James Jackson, who was an educator. So we will be inviting you to come to that. And I cannot forget, you mentioned Al. Al has been our president, I think, since 2018. We have been blessed with good leadership, starting out in 2010 with the late Dr. William E. Ward, up until he passed, and then we elected Al Alexander, who is an assistant principal at Western Branch High School. And he provided the way forward, and we're very grateful to have him. And our board works with him to achieve the goals that we set on an annual basis.
Right.
Now, you mentioned the New Chesapeake Men for Progress, which is our parent organization. Many older citizens may remember the old Chesapeake Forward that went into the Chesapeake Men for Progress later in the early 60s when Chesapeake was formed. That organization, Chesapeake Men for Progress, led the initiative, a coalition of black churches and civic leagues
Yes.
to bring change in Chesapeake, having the first African Americans elected to office, such as Dr. Hugo Owens, W.P. Clark, and there were many others to follow him. And as you know, William E. Ward came out of that group also.
Yes, right.
And got elected to council. And during his tenure, we had the greatest growth in Chesapeake that we've had. And we have not had that kind of growth since he passed in 2004. When I say passed being the mayor of Chesapeake.
The longest running mayor as
He's
well.
the longest running mayor. He had an ability that so many people don't have. He had that ability to reach across the aisle, across colored lines, and to bring people together to move forward in a progressive way for everyone. That is something that's badly lacking in our city right now.
Right. And so when you talk about the parent company, so what are they doing now? I understand that they're doing some things with the Title I schools.
Yes, we provided food baskets in 2021 for the needy to the schools. This year, we're planning a Black History program, and it looks like we may have to go virtual with that if we do it, but we will be having a political candidate forum. We trying to focus on things to improve the quality of life in Chesapeake. And I know you are aware, but your audience may not be aware that we are leading the way to bring the Chesapeake Council to the point where they will build a convocation center so we can stop spending $50,000 a year at the Ted Constant Center to graduate a high school class.
Right.
We're also pushing the council to bring a performing arts center. We have talented students in Chesapeake, and we have fine arts dollars that are primarily spent outside of the city where our students don't fully benefit from.
And we're also looking to get the council to approve funding for a swimming pool as well.
Absolutely. That is badly needed, and that is a good economic driver. I understand, and not understand, I've seen it, that these items are put on the council's priority list, but they're unfunded, and it will not be, according to that document, funded in 2022. Citizens need to come to bear on our council to get them to do something worthwhile to improve the quality of life in Chesapeake. Also, Ernest, we're working with the city manager and deputy city manager to increase diversity in the city department administrations as well as in the constitutional office. Of course, they're elected, and we're going to have to get in the ballot box to get those. But we are operating a city with about 34%, almost 44% when you include all the minorities in the city. Yet we have only about 20 to 21% minority representation in the city administration job. That to me is a wealth grab.
Right.
Because we are not able to command the higher paying jobs in the city. Okay? And there you go with a disparity in income.
Right.
That you see that exists not only in Chesapeake but throughout the country. Those are the things we're working on. Our most recent issue is to change the election system in Chesapeake from an at-large system to a borough or ward system. As you know, the district court here in Norfolk in March indicated that at-large voting system were illegal.
Right.
Under the Voters' Rights Act. Since that decision, you know, our state passed the first ever historic Voters Registration Act. I think we're the only state that has one that says the same thing.
Right.
Also, Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act says that any time a voting system denies minorities the ability to vote for candidates of their choice, that is illegal. Unquestionably, I live in South Norfolk where we have 58.3% minority. I've been in Chesapeake since '75. I have yet to be able to vote for a candidate from South Norfolk. So I'm complaining myself right now because I would like to see a greater representation. What we're talking about is democracy, really. Democracy works best when more people vote.
Absolutely.
As you know, in the 2018 election, only 18% of the electorate vote. We're having an electorate of somewhere around 74 to 78,000. In the last election, 21? Anyway, only 20%.
Right.
Look at it. 2 elections. So these council people get elected. They have no mandates.
Yes.
They get elected on a plurality vote. And believe it or not, they have no mandates. And they don't seem to have the vision to mandate anything themselves that'll benefit the citizens here in Chesapeake.
And so the citizens are the one who suffer.
And you know, just recently they say in June they're going to stop collecting our recycled paper.
Yes.
So we're going to have to pay some more money and get less.
Right. So, segueing back to the new Chesapeake Men for Progress Education Foundation, what can a person expect when they come to this program? Even if you want to go back up and talk about the 2 signatures events that you have, the breakfast which is in March, 29th, right?
The 30th, March.
The 30th.
April 30th.
April 30th. And the date for the black tie event. What are some of the things that people can look forward to seeing?
When you come to our programs, number one, you can expect a planned program. As you know, we always start on time. When we say 9 o'clock, we mean 9 o'clock. If you come 9:05, you're late.
Yeah.
You can expect a quality speaker who's bringing a relevant message for our young people.
Right.
And you can see the execution of our program very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we have great cooperation and participation from our city, all from our council as well as our school board and our public safety people. Sheriff office always provide whatever we ask him to provide for this event. You can expect to be safe. You can expect a 2-hour program. We have yet, I think, to go beyond 2 hours.
Right.
Because we plan this program well and we operate it very efficiently to get done what it is we came there to do. And also, we respect people's time. We know you don't want to spend all day with us. You got other things to do.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, George, is there anything in particular on your mind in regards to the New Chesapeake Men for Progress and the parent company, as the parent company, and New Chesapeake Men for Progress Education Foundation? Any closing remarks?
Yes. My thing is for citizens. This is a program that's serving your youth in the city, and we serve them well. We would appreciate you buying a ticket. If you can't come, make a donation. If you're a business, do a sponsorship or provide a grant. Because this money will save you later. It'll mean some of these youths won't be on the street robbing you or shooting you because we're directing them in the right direction.
Right.
That's the thing that I would like to see them do. On the New Chesapeake Men for Progress, as you know, we have a legislative agenda that includes 4 things, now 5. We need you to come out and help us work and move our council to making these things happen, because these things benefit all citizens. It improves the quality of life. And it's not going to happen unless you, as a citizen, because you are impacted. I would encourage you to read this week's journaling guide. I have penned an article in there describing the situation that exists in Chesapeake. That is really all you need to know. But there's much more to the story, and I'll be happy to tell you if you will call me.
But anyway, look, we got to go, George. Dr. Reed, we really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. We ran out of time. Hopefully you come back and get a chance, opportunity to be with us again. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So, Ernest Lowery, Unity Podcast. Join us again next time. Thank you.